much about buying an investment property that
Hmm.
a lot of times we don't talk about exit strategy as an investor, right? As an
Hmm.
investor, I tell people you should always have an exit strategy, whether it's a long-term strategy or short-term strategy, whatever it is, you should have a strategy. So we get into the buying, right? And nobody talks about selling. So what are the requirements, legalities? If I'm selling my investment property in DR, what are the taxes associated that, here in Illinois, we'll have state tax, we have county tax, and in the city of Chicago, we'll have city of Chicago tax, right?
Well, here
And
you basically have to deal with capital gains.
okay,
For
okay.
a corporation, it's 27%. For an individual, is 0 to 25%, depending on the worth of the property. Now, I'm glad you brought up taxes, okay? Because when you buy a property, to transfer that property from the previous title owner to your name, you have to pay a 3% tax. Now,
Okay.
that's a 3% tax on the worth of the property. Okay. I want to put a star on this particular comment, but if you have if you have residency through the investment program, you're exempted that tax.
Wow. So that's a boom for the residency through investment program. Okay.
You are also exempted from paying any tax on the income generated by the unit. So if this is an Airbnb that's doing well, you have residency through the investment program for 3 years, you're tax free. Okay.
That's so
I'm gonna
good.
give, I'm gonna give you all another little trick talking about taxes. Okay. Listen, to sell a property, it's a very straightforward process. Outside of capital gains, you're not worried. It's the buyer that got to worry about the taxes.
Okay. Good to know.
The transfer tax, the capital gains is you.
Hmm.
Okay. And you have to make sure that in the event that you have to pay the property. If your property is 150,000 or more, you got to make sure to pay that annual property
1%.
tax.
1%
Okay.
property.
Another star on this next comment. Folks with residency under the investment program are also exempt from paying that property tax.
For how long?
3 years.
Wow. Okay.
And if you're 65 years or older, you don't pay taxes anyway.
Is that period as an investor or only through the residency through investment program and you're 65 years
Period.
old?
65 and over don't pay property taxes. Okay.
Wow. That is so you're exempt from that 1% regardless if you're 65 and older buying an investment property there.
Yeah, but if for the younger bucks that want to get that exoneration, you want to get that residency in the investment program. But here's the sharker pill. If you buy a Confotur certified property, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna tell you what Confotur is. The Ministry of Tourism years ago, it always has had this taxing is a special taxing incentives for hotels. It's an island. We want hotels to come here, so let's give them a special incentive. 2010, that incentive was extended to projects that foment tourist investment. What does that mean? It means that any project, even if the units are individually owned and occupied by the owners, functions as a tourist project, it qualifies for the Confotur incentive.
Wow.
So basically, if I buy in one of those projects in Punta Cana and it has its pool, social area, all that other jazz that it has, it's a complex, they all have Confotur. What is the Confotur incentive? The Ministry of Tourism provides this incentive 15 years tax-free straight across the board. You don't pay the transfer tax, 3%. You don't pay property tax. You don't pay tax on the income earned by the unit.
For 15 years.
And that is whether you have residency or not, whether you
Okay.
are under 65 or not, because
Wow.
that project is attracting foreign investment. So as an incentive, the Ministry of Tourism certifies it Confotur. And so when you buy that property, you get that certification indicating you're tax-free 15 years.
To get the certification, or can I, as the individual unit purchaser, apply for that certification?
What was that again? Because you cut off.
I said, does the developer have to apply for that certification, or do I, as the individual unit purchaser, apply for the Confotur certification?
No. It gives it to the developer, and then each owner of the units gets their own certificate.